All right, everybody. This is the How to Hunt Deer podcast, and my name is Dan, and his name is Jason. And here we are again. We have another June podcast release, and usually what we do this time of year is me and you, we have a little conversation before we hit the record button, and we're like, "What are we going to talk about?
Yeah.
What are we going to talk about today?" Because there's nothing going on, really. I mean, you've done some food plot work, the habitat stuff we've done. We're gonna start shooting our bows and start getting some of doing the gear checks and things like that. And how many times are we gonna talk about that? In a episode in a row. So
Yeah.
I pulled up some information here, and I'm gonna kind of buzz through this once, kind of just as an opener here, and talk a little bit about the antler life cycle, not the deer's life cycle, but an antler life cycle for a whitetail buck. All right. And this is a month by month antler growth kind of chart / a little bit of information. In March, increasing daylight triggers hormones to jumpstart the growth cycle. New growth begins, and the pedicle, the permanent bone bumps on the skull. So everybody knows where the pedicle's at, probably. And then so March is the trigger. So I'm guessing February and March, as it's all triggered by daylight. All of this is by daylight, which is crazy because the increased growth of the pedicle is when we all go shed hunting. Right? I mean, that's why that new growth kicks the old antler off.
Yep.
All right. And when I was running a lot more trail cameras throughout April, antlers begin to emerge as tiny nubs covered in velvet. Growth is slow, but by the end of the month, the brow tines and the first inch or two of the main beams are usually visible.
Yeah.
Yep. And one turkey season, I was sitting there calling a tom in. I was working this tom, and this young buck had, this was in later April, had a distinguished, and still to this day, it was one of the coolest things I've seen, had a distinguished brow tine and exactly what they just kind of mentioned there. And then he still had one hardhorn forky side from the previous year.
Really?
Yep.
That's cool.
Yep. So I don't know, saw that. Okay, May. Spring vegetation provides a much needed protein boost. The main beams grow to about 50% of their total length, and the G2 tines begin to show. Saw that, 2 weeks ago? Is that when I told you guys I saw, we were on a golf cart ride, and we saw two deer, a doe and a young buck sitting there with about that. We saw a G2, we saw main beams out, we saw the brow tines looking good.
Yep.
All right. June. This month is all about establishing the frame of the buck, of the rack. Main beams lengthen rapidly, and all primary points begin to branch off. So June is where you're starting to probably, I don't know about you, but June is when I can go, he's back.
Yeah.
If there's no torn ear or blind eye or have a significant double throat patch or any cuts, this buck is you're being able to distinguish that. Oh, he starts that split brow, or he starts that. You can tell what buck it is. Okay, and July. This is when most of us get our trail cameras out. The most dramatic growth occurs now, with some of the antlers growing an inch a day. But that stat right there blows my mind.
I'm reading one here. So behind me, I've got the Ryan Kirby growth and maturity of a whitetail buck, and then
I got it right there too.
I've got the antler growth one here.
Okay.
And on his, it actually says whitetail antlers are the fastest growing bones on the planet. Some growing over 2 inches in a single day.
Uh-huh.
And I mean, he does a great job, just an FYI, of illustrating all the stuff with the whitetail deer. So if that's anything anybody's interested in, and I've got behind me a scoring sheet, so you don't have to get the great big posters and frame them, but it is very cool to look at it and read in detail about what Dan's talking about here this morning.
Yeah. And that's one of those things where I don't know. I've seen I'm on this new farm that I've been hunting for the last 4 years, 5 years. There's a couple bucks, and they've always been like big 8 pointers, and I can get them confused because there's times where they grow so fast in such a short amount of time. You're like, what buck am I looking at? Oh, look at this buck. It's this buck.
Yeah.
But then the bigger one of the 8 pointers shows up like 2 days later, and he's even bigger than he was before. And I'm just like, holy shit. Like,
Yeah.
this is crazy. All right. And then August. Growth slows and stops completely by mid-August. Bucks undergo a process called seasonal osteoporosis. Is
Yep.
that right?
Yep.
Osteoporosis, where minerals from their skeleton are pulled and devoted to hardening the antlers.
Yep.
Interesting. I wonder if August is when you start to see, like, does that mean that August is the most important time of their life as far as nutrition is concerned, because they're pulling all that calcium from their bones in order to get their antlers hardened?
I mean, well,
That'd be a question for a biologist,
yeah,
but
yeah. I mean, because you could go multiple ways with this.
Mhm.
I would say forcing an antler off with the new growth would. I mean, you'd have to have a lot of nutrition to force that antler off. I
Yeah.
mean, in order to grow a new one, I would say that would be critical. I would say, man, I don't know, maintaining that growth throughout the season.
Yeah.
But
You have to have consistent food,
yeah,
and if you go into uh, March, let you see these deer. Let's not kid ourselves.
yeah,
These deer who have buffets all year round, they don't have to worry about food. People are leaving standing corn up for them, or they have
yep,
feeders and things like that. Those deer are growing bigger antlers. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like,
yeah,
they're living their best life out there, and and so they don't necessarily need to worry about it. But public land, Pennsylvania or Michigan or someplace where there's none of that allowed, um, I feel like like February, post hunting season, and post winter, and probably August is when their food intake probably jumps a lot.
yeah.
So Uh, so that was August, and then September is blood flow to the velvet ceases, and the bucks rub off the velvet on trees in a matter of an hour. They can do it in a matter of a couple hours, revealing hardened antlers underneath. Let me ask you this: How have you ever had any trail camera pictures of like the bloody in the middle of the velvet rub off on your
No,
cameras?
not
Dude,
no, I haven't. You?
I had a couple. I've had two, one on a smaller buck, but then one on a I don't know. I know I showed you the pictures of I think it was like 2018 through 2020. I chased like a 200-inch non-typical freak,
Yeah,
and I got one picture of him in mid, like it was early September, in mid velvet rub off. Oh my
yeah,
god, that picture to this day. And then of course, I had a hard drive crash where I kept all that stuff, and I don't have it anymore. But to this day, just one of the coolest trail camera pictures I've ever seen. It
yeah.
was
Oh,
it
I'm
was
sure.
it was awesome. And then obviously, October and November, antlers are fully hardened and used by the bucks to establish dominance, create scrapes and rubs, and fight off rivals during the rut. December through February, after the breeding season, dropping testosterone levels cause the antlers to weaken at the pedicle and at the base and drop off. So that, my friends, is the life cycle of a white-tailed buck's antlers.
Uh,
So
and antlers is probably what I would say over half of the hunters hunt for. I
yeah,
just, I mean, being real about it,
yep,
they're very fascinating. So I'll share a couple stories with antlers while we're talking.
yep,
Obviously, shed hunting is a great way to get out and scout. It's a great way to get kids out and everything. I have a buck here that I shot in a December gun season in Illinois,
hmm,
and he is full velvet, and his left side is perfect. His right side, it literally looks like somebody took a sawzall to his G2, G3, and G4, and they're just like lopped off. Well, this deer was probably guessing from what the farmer was telling me in the area. 4 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So he had both reproductive organs basically.
Oh,
But he had no balls.
no balls, but he
No
had a
balls.
penis
Yep.
and
And tits.
tits.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that
So
fits right in with the 2026 year.
I I didn't see any oh, I don't even want to say it. So
when
let's
when you
skip that part.
when you gutted it, was just out of curiosity,
Yeah.
when you gutted it, did you find like, I mean, did it have a vagina too? Like, did it
Well,
have a uterus or anything like that?
okay.
Ovaries? Or...
Well, so let's rewind a little bit. So I'm gun hunting, and this property is just a phenomenal property, but it never is really paid off in the late season. So
Mm-hmm.
for me to be out there for that second gun season, I didn't really think I'd see anything. And as luck would have it, I saw like 20 does piling in, and I heard this deer just constantly grunting. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
this deer grunted, I don't know, 50 to 100 grunts in the 5 minutes that I saw it, and he walks out. I didn't know he was velvet. And so I shoot him because he's wide. He's really
Mm-hmm.
wide. I shoot him and then he goes over the hill. I get over to him. And the first thing I do is see what the heck. I shot a velvet deer,
Mm-hmm.
thinking, oh, what did I do? Type situation. Well, then I flip him over and I see, he's got that. Well, when I gutted him, I couldn't see anything different than,
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Yeah.
not to my knowledge, but it's fascinating that this deer was able to keep those antlers year after year after year, and because obviously he never dropped them.
Yeah.
But he broke, like I said, he broke the 1, 2, 3, 4 points off, maybe
Yeah.
five if you count the end of the beam. But so that's one story about the velvet and how a lack of, I guess it would be testosterone in that case.
Well, I
I
mean,
mean,
if
I'm
it,
not sure.
I'm sure it happens.
Yeah,
Just it's
yeah,
natural. I've also got a picture from a guy one time. This was a long time ago, walking through the woods during the hunting season, and there is a pair of white-tailed deer testicles hanging on a fence.
yep,
And so he's like, dude, bad day for this buck,
yeah,
but you know, like, um, I don't know how that would affect it, but you hear of people shooting antlered does,
yep,
in the past, and they even have some, I saw a post in previous years where a guy's like, I just broke the record for the biggest whitetail doe. I think it was like 145-inch whitetail doe that grew antlers.
yeah,
So that stuff always kind of interests me as well.
right. So
So,
then, one more story.
yep,
Just because I think, like I said, antlers are fascinating.
yep,
So another late season hunt. It was in January. I think it was, oh gosh, around the 8th or something like that. I'd been watching this buck basically come into food plots every night. I mean, we had a thick snowpack on the ground. It was like 8 inches of snow and ice,
yeah,
and they had a billy goat trail coming into this food plot. And I had an opportunity at this buck earlier in the week and missed. And I think it was a Friday night, I said, I'm gonna move my ground blind out, I'm gonna set it up and blah blah blah. He came in with the same buck that night. uh I made a perfect shot on him. He went about 45 yards, and as soon as he hit the ground, he dropped his right side off, and then I go over to pick him up and I rip the other side off of him. So he had shed literally within minutes of me shooting him. It didn't take much for him to lose him. It was just kind of fascinating how
yeah,
fast they can lose him. It
yeah.
literally took him hitting his head on the snow to drop the one antler, and then me just to pick his head up and pull
Oh
the other
yeah,
one
you hear
off.
about that in the late season. You hear
Yeah,
about people shooting shed bucks, thinking that they're does.
yeah,
I feel like I'm experienced enough, even through my binoculars, to know, like, number one, the pedicles stick out that time of year, especially if the antlers just dropped. I can understand uh, shed bucks being shot by someone who is uneducated and unexperienced. Like,
yeah,
I get that,
yeah,
and even maybe in a long ways away, but the body of a whitetail buck, even in the February, like the January, February timeframe, the bodies are still bigger. The back ends seem to wear away first from post rut, and
Uh-huh.
then you still have a bigger neck and a bigger front shoulders.
The brisket,
Um, yeah,
knobby.
and even their head is like, you can tell. Like I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like I can tell, and just be like, oh, that's a shed buck. I
Yeah.
also never I don't hunt late season a lot, so
Right.
um, but yeah, man, I've had a story where a guy's like, dude, help me move this tree stand. I'm after a shooter, a really good buck this late season, and this was like the first December shotgun season, and I don't know if this buck got injured or what happened, but we're walking into this like overgrown cattle pasture, and there's like this fence where the deer are crossing to get into this ag field, and we're walking there, and sure enough, both antlers of the buck that he is looking for are right there.
Yeah.
So it shed. I don't know if maybe he got shot during the archery season, and I don't know the end of that story or what happened with that buck, but we picked up the antlers and then we left.
Yeah.
Didn't even put the tree stand up because that was the buck that guy was after. So, oh, I don't know. Antlers are interesting, man. I like them. I like the biology behind them. I like shooting big antlered deer. I like finding big sheds. Any shed really. I just love. Back in the day, man, when I had way more time, I absolutely loved shed hunting. It
Yeah.
was, to this day, it's one of my favorite parts of the whole cycle.
Yeah, it really is. I
Yeah.
shed hunting has kind of kept me in it in the off season and stuff, and
Hmm.
they're fascinating. One thing about a shed is, I've always said you have to be in the exact spot that that buck dropped it,
Right.
versus like when you're a tree stand, whether you're a gun hunter or a bow hunter or whatever, you could be a distance away from that where that deer is. But
Right.
one thing that's really amazed me too about antlers is, we talk about how they're the fastest growing. We also remember it's a bone,
Yeah.
and the force that it takes to break these things can be unbelievable.
Oh yeah.
And like there's a buck back here. He's lost half of his main beam. It's amazing what these animals will go through.
Oh yeah. And you're sitting the other day we're sitting looking out the window, and the monsoon that was hitting our fields and all the water runoff and things like that. I'm just like, right now these deer, I said to my boy, I said, right now there's deer in there laying down just getting hammered by this rain, and there's
Yeah.
nothing that they're doing except taking it. They're just taking it, right?
Oh
So
my gosh, dude, we had so much rain
yeah.
and it was much needed, but I
Hmm.
just wish it'd come at a different pace than that. I mean,
Right.
everything's green back up. We're on a good streak now, but it can slow down. And now, I mean, actually, we're cool. And last night we went on a deer drive. We took the four side by side out, and we just cruised a couple of the back roads that we always do south of the house. And man, the deer were just piling out of fields,
Yeah.
and we saw a couple decent bucks here closer to home, and then as luck would have it, we watched a doe feeding out from our woods when we were coming in. So, um, it's pretty cool. It's a cool time of year, and we'll transition here. Talking about bows and shooting and stuff. This is a great time to get your equipment out and
Hmm.
get familiar with it. Um, but first, I think we need to do a code blue
Yep.
sense.
Yeah, we got to do two today. I own another company some ad read space, but um, right now is the best time to start thinking about the upcoming season, right? Like, usually what happens is, and hunters are really good at this, we're really good at procrastinating all the way until September or October, like, and just being like, oh, well, I better start shooting my bow,
Right.
or I better double check my boots and gear for the next weekend, right? I'm going to start hunting next weekend or whatever. And so, um, the earlier you get all that organized, the more hunting you're going to be doing, and the less worrying and stress you're going to be doing. All right. So Code Blue Scents, right? They offer real and synthetic deer urines. They offer scent elimination products, attractants. They offer the Rope a Dope Mock Scrape Kit, which this week I'm actually traveling to Indiana for a wrestling tournament with my daughter. no hunting stuff's going to get done. But when I get back, my goal is to get my trail cameras, my mineral sites freshened up, a whole bunch of things done before the 4th of July. And then, going back to the July thing here, let me go to July. It says the most dramatic growth occurs now. So I want to get my cameras out to do that. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to also be freshening up the mock scrapes because, believe it or not, you guys hear the term mock scrape, and it's not just October, November when they're using mock scrapes. It is a communication hub. They're using it all year round. And I'll tell you this, like, I've had, I wish I had one out now. I don't, but July is going to be just fine. There's little fawn heads popping up, and they communicate too. The
Yeah.
does are communicating, and they may not lay a scrape. The bucks are coming in to smell, but they use their preorbital gland, or the preorbital, the glands on their heads. They lick it, they taste it, and that's just a communication sign for them on
Yeah.
these mock scrapes. So if you live in a state that has outlawed maybe mineral or feeding deer, put a mock scrape out, dude, if it's legal. And some of that,
Yeah.
and they'll come to it. I've had some really, really good experiences with the mock scrape at with Code Blue Sense, and putting it in front of trail cameras, and getting an inventory of the deer on the farm. So go check out codebluesense.com, discount code HTH20 for 20% off. And then the next company I want to send a shout out to is Reveal Trail Cameras. These guys are doing some amazing things with the cameras. I mean, you put some batteries in it, you scan a QR code, and you have a fully functioning cell cam. The ease of use, the setup is extremely easy. And you know why I like them, Jason? Is because they send me pictures of deer.
Mm-hmm.
Believe it or not,
Right.
there are some trail cameras out there that struggle to do that.
I'm
And
sure.
dude, it's very simple. I'm a very simple person. If I buy a cell cam, I want it to send me pictures of deer. Some For some reason, some cameras haven't figured that out yet. And so that's why I like Reveal, because they send me pictures, and that's really all I want. I honestly, they're good, high quality pictures,
Yeah.
but I don't even give a shit about the quality. Can I see the deer that I want to chase? Is
It,
it him in the trail? Yes, cool.
yeah.
That's win.
Well, and I mean, they have a ton of features. I mean, they
Yeah,
have this new app that they have, the Hunt IQ app and
yeah,
everything, but the one thing that I can say about Reveal is if you use the video portion of it and then you pay for the extra videos and stuff, it's actually pretty cool to watch what those deer are doing.
yeah.
And not just get the picture. So
100%. 100%. So, all right. So go visit tacticam.com/cameras and take a look at all the cameras they offer. And then make sure you go to Google Play or wherever you download your apps and download the Reveal app. Cool.
So I had thought of two things, and one of them was obviously shooting your bow, and
Yep.
then I could touch base with the other one towards the end here. One thing I see a lot of guys do when it comes to especially archery is they put it off, put it off, put it off, put it off, and then all of a sudden season comes, they need new string, they need arrows, they haven't even shot broadheads yet, and there's just a lack of preparation for it. But with that said, too, the other thing I see is a lot of guys try to, and I'm going to use quote unquote, muscle up to shoot a heavier poundage bow than what
Yep.
they actually can
Yep.
effectively.
Yep.
And I think that's detrimental not only to themselves, but it can be detrimental to the animal that they're hunting.
Yeah. I'm turning the volume down on my bow this year, dude. Like, I think I'm
Yeah.
going to 65, and I got a jacked up shoulder, and I'm gonna go in and get a shot for it, and that's gonna help. That's gonna help me. Usually about twice a year, I go in and I get a shot. But I'll tell you this, man. Like, I'm past the big dog stage of my life. Like I'm past I'm past the stage where I gotta shoot 70 pounds. Or
Yeah.
man, there was 2 seasons there when I was shooting an elite bow where they were some of the first to come out with 80-pound limbs, and
Yep.
I was like, I'm gonna shoot 80 pounds because I can, right?
Yep.
And I smoked, dude. I hit this one poor doe, dude, on here, dude. I hit her in the, like, she was quartering away, and I hit her right in the pocket behind the shoulder, and at an angle, I hit the it'd be the backside front shoulder, like all of the muscle and tissue that you don't want, and I put her into the dirt, dude. Like, I knocked her down right where she was at, and
Yeah.
that's cool. I don't care who
Yeah.
you are. Like, oh, that's poor doe, blah blah blah. I don't give a shit. Like, that
Yeah.
was awesome. She got right down. She popped up, fell over like 10 steps later, right? So, um, absolutely love that. But I'm in my like comfort stage now, but I
Yeah.
want to be comfortable.
That's the thing. Like I don't what do you need to shoot it for?
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of it to me is shot placement, and it's not to
Yeah.
say like I'm not trying to discourage anybody. If you
Mm,
do, if you want to shoot 90 pounds, shoot it. Like
yeah.
if you can effectively shoot it, and you're not, doing some damage to the animal and not recovering animals because you can't hold it and stuff
Hmm.
like that. I mean, just think through the process of it. How much are you shooting? Obviously, the more you shoot, the stronger you are to shooting. So
Yeah.
there's that thought, but it's just something I see a lot of, especially being around younger guys. It's always a swinging, contest.
Hmm.
Um, so I would just recommend, find something you're comfortable with, check it over, I
Yeah.
mean, check your strings and be prepared for it. Don't wait till the last, I don't know, a week before. Don't wait for the night before and then call your buddy or whoever and say, "Man, I don't have any arrows. I haven't shot it." Or
Or
yeah, or
yeah.
just, take your bow and go and hope that it's still on from last year.
Yeah. That's what my stepdad does. Like, with all due
Yeah,
respect, love the guy, but he's
yep,
just like, I'm gonna take it right out of the case. I'm gonna walk right to the tree stand.
yep.
And for that style of hunting, and that style of hunting, he's successful. So he shot his biggest buck last year, and I bet you he took maybe 3 practice shots before he shot it.
Well, I mean, we always sat here before we got on, and we're
Yeah.
like, "What are we can talk about?" And it's like there are so many things that you can do in the off season,
Yeah.
to prepare for the season. I mean, because
Yeah.
literally we are what we got July, August, September. I mean, we're 3.5 months out, and it's hunting season. So I
Yeah.
mean, you got the next 3.5 months to prepare yourself for 3.5 months of hunting. I
Right.
mean, utilize it. Pick
Yep.
these, like we got cool temperatures this week for most of the week. Pick a cool evening and go out in your backyard. And dude, I'm not saying you need to shoot 100 arrows a day or anything, but
No.
at least get comfortable with it.
Have you ever shot in a league, like a summer league or a
Yeah,
summer like group or something
yeah,
like that?
yeah. So they have what they call the Midwest Archery Championship, and there's like multiple states involved in it. So there's normally a shoot like every weekend somewhere.
Hmm.
So we could travel up to like 4 hours from here in Wisconsin. We could go towards Indiana. So I used to do that a lot. That was like my summer. I don't want to say like relaxing time, but that was like my thing to do. And then obviously kids in life got busy and they're in sports and stuff, so I don't do it as much. But yeah, man, you can stay busy with that.
Yeah. Well, I feel like my summers are too crazy busy. Like, I literally, I do not, the last handful of weeks, I have not had a free day because whatever. But once my kids are able to, like, my coaching maybe stops, or my kids are unable to, uh, like they're out of sports or they're out of the house, I can see myself getting into an archery league, like
Yeah.
some kind of old man archery league or something like that, or just shooting my bow more in the backyard. Maybe buying a couple extra targets and setting something up to where I can launch.
Well, there's, I mean, obviously a ton of other ones too.
Yep.
You've got, have you ever shot one of the Reinhardt shoots, the R100s or whatever?
No, I haven't.
Um, oh, those are a lot of fun too because you get to shoot some of their exotic animals, not just your standard North
Whitetail
American
deer.
whitetail.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are fun. We shot one. Gosh, I think it was up in Sparta, and then there's what do they call that? Tack. They
Oh
got the
yeah,
tack events, which
yeah,
I've never done that, So I mean, there's a lot of ways that you could stay archery focused year round if you really wanted to.
yeah. Absolutely, absolutely. So this doesn't necessarily have anything to do with the deer hunting side of it, but I I got back and I started exercising for the first time since my knee surgery. So I'm essentially 12 weeks out. And so last night I lift at the same gym that my daughter I started lifting at the same gym that my daughter has her wrestling practices at.
Hmm.
So I'm there 5 days a week anyway. And so I started lifting. Dude, I felt like I have never worked out before in my entire life. And my body is so sore right now from just like a 15 weeks of not lifting or doing any cardio or anything like that. Hold, dude, I feel so sore right now. It is ridiculous, man. But
So
you got to do it, right? You just have to.
yeah, so we're gonna get completely off deer here, but
Yeah.
we just my wife and I just had this conversation this morning because obviously we just had a baby, and
Yep.
so tomorrow is 6 weeks post baby, and obviously she was pregnant.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. You know what that means? For all the fellas out there, you know what that means. 6 weeks, it's a marker.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not just 6 weeks, but hey,
Yeah.
so there's that, but there's obviously the time that was leading to having the kid.
Yeah.
So she was a runner. That's her
Yeah.
big thing. She loves to run, and so our discussion this morning is like she wants to get back into it, but she doesn't know how. And like you're saying, there's that curve to it, like, oh my gosh, I took that leap. Now like I'm walking, now I'm
Mhm.
jogging, now I'm running. And
Yeah.
like, so what would your recommendation for someone be, whether it's shooting your bow for the first time in 8 months, or whether it's going for a run for the first time in 8 months, or bench pressing for.
This is going to sound like such an old man answer, but here's what I'm going to say. When I was younger, go to the gym, lift heavy, or go on a hike with a lot of weight on your back, or go on a run for X number of miles and just do it, right? But I think the older you get, you owe yourself some kind of documentation. And what I mean by that is get a little notebook and write down, here's what I did today, right?
Mhm.
I did 100 sit-ups and I did 50 push-ups, and you put the date on it, and then that way you look back and go, okay, what did I do yesterday? All right, let's do something different today. I went on a 1 mile walk, right? Or I went and I got 10,000 steps in, or whatever the magic number is for you. And I think as long as you just do something to get started, right? Like I'll just use this for example. Physical therapy this year with my knee surgery. I had one goal. I told him I want to I want to be able to climb a tree stand by October 1st.
Yep.
I'm there right now. Like I could climb. My knee is still not what it was, right? My strength in my leg is still not what it was. I'll have to be very careful climbing in and out if I do decide to get in it. But by October, November this year, dude, I'll be golden, right? Um, but for those of you who want to expand your hunting, dude, I want to go hunt whitetails in a different state, or I want to go hunt mule deer or elk or something like that. There's a physical aspect that you have to do, that you have to think about, and you don't necessarily need to be able to run marathons or pack out like 1,000 pounds in one trip. That's not reality, but you do have to do something, and anything is better than nothing, right? And so something,
Okay.
walk, pack, hike, push ups, sit ups, squats. You don't need a gym for that.
So I'm gonna go back to, I remember the Wired to Hunt days. You and Mark would hold each other accountable.
Okay.
And then I've heard you and Kyle recently on Man Therapy
Yep.
hold each other accountable. How important do you think that is for whether it's working out or whether it's shooting your bow or anything like that? Do you think that helps?
Yeah. Yeah. If you have a partner
Yeah.
to do it with, I mean, I know guys that just they're buds and they're like, all right, every Thursday at 5:30 when we get off work, meet me at the archery range,
Yeah.
and they'll lob arrows.
Yep.
Right. That's their instead of going to the bar and drinking beer, they sit there and they go shoot arrows with their buddies.
Right.
right? I know guys who
Yep.
do that.
Yep.
I know guys who have workout partners. I don't have a workout partner. I feel like if I had a workout partner, I would be I would be much more consistent in my workouts.
No, same.
You know,
Yep.
where a guy's like, "Let's go," and when he's feeling down, you're like, "Let's go," and then it gets done,
Yeah.
right? So maybe find a workout partner, maybe find an archery buddy, right? A bow hunting buddy. I know guys that they everything they do hunting wise is together, right?
Yeah.
Hey, let's go on a non-resident hunt. Boom, I got a buddy
Yep.
for that.
Yep.
Let's go attack this piece of public on our home state. Boom, buddy, right? And so
Right.
uh, that's the crazy thing is I don't have a hunting buddy. I've had a hunting buddy. I don't even know if it was necessarily a hunting buddy because we didn't hunt the same properties, but I do know I had a guy where it's like, hey, dude, I need to help drag. Bingo, I
Right.
got a guy for
Yep.
that.
Yep.
But never a guy who I share property with. Never a guy that I've had consistent workout partners with. Anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, I have for a while, on and off,
Hmm.
but it's not as much as it used to be. Probably primarily because of kids. But
Yeah.
now I would almost say like my kids are my hunting buddies. My one of my stepdaughters, it was her birthday this past weekend, and she's been telling me for 2 weeks. She's like, I want to go for a deer drive. I want to go for
Mm,
a deer drive. So Saturday night we went mini putting, and then on the way home we took the car and we traveled the back roads. And then
right.
last night she's like, let's go on the side by side. So we did, and like having that little push forced me to go out and see the deer too.
Yeah.
So it was kind of nice because just south of the house there was a couple nice bucks.
Yeah.
And so I do think there's something to that accountability. But I also think there has to be the willpower. I mean, it's you could say the same thing being a business owner.
Yeah.
You have to get up in the morning, right?
Yeah.
And if
Yeah.
you don't get up in the morning, Dan Johnson's not making any money.
Right. Right. I was fully content sitting on the deck drinking coffee this morning when I woke up. But then I
Yep.
had to tell the wife, well, I better get up there and record an episode. And this is the best part. You put it on the schedule like what we do. It's
Yep.
on the schedule, same time every week, and it's just easy. So if
Yep.
you can do something where it's like Monday nights after baseball, there's an hour of light left. I'm going to grab my bow. I'm going to shoot 20 arrows, put the bow down, go be a dad, right? Like, I don't think you need too much more than that. If you can do that
Well,
consistently, like 3 times a week, dude, you're going to have some really good muscle memory, man.
I can tell you this personally, like my opinion is with sports and the busy schedules and everything, you make sure that the kids get to everything that they have to do. But at
Mm-hmm.
the end of the day, you still have to make a few minutes for yourself. So
100%.
if you are taking 15 to 20 minutes out of the day to go run or to go shoot or even to do yoga in the basement or whatever it looks like for you,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, dude, it's so important because your attitude actually is reflected by the stuff that you get to do through your kids.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, I'm telling you right now, like my son just won, my oldest boy, he just won his second tournament, baseball tournament. And so now this means that he's probably going to get bumped up from a double A team to a triple A team. Okay, because they've been winning so much, and then they've not only been winning, but they've been winning by a good chunk, right? So
Hmm.
one game this weekend was 24-5 or something like that, right? And so they've been crushing it. Well, if they do get bumped up, then that means that there's an additional weekend that I have to travel to Des Moines, get hotels, pay all that stuff, and that's just an additional weekend of shit to do, right?
Yeah.
Instead of having both boys in Des Moines at the same weekend, yeah, I would be missing that, but now it's possibly going to be, I mean, geez, it's going to be an additional $2,000 for
Oh,
hotel rooms and meals and all that shit. I'm just like, come on, man.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
That's real life shit.
our oldest, she's doing a track team this summer, and she excelled in it and she set the school record in one state and everything for high jump, so
Mhm.
now she's doing this I thought it was like just a for fun league or a camp, but it ends up being this team, and now she's qualifying for Junior Olympics and stuff, and it's like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, where are we going with this, and so it is. Uh, there's an expense to all these things, and it's awesome watching them and going through all the process of it. But
Mhm.
like my point with it is like holding yourself accountable to these things, but also making time for yourself for these things, because
Yep.
dude, you will fall apart if you let yourself go.
Mhm. Yeah. I feel like I'm falling apart physically, mentally, like most days anyway.
Dude, hey, that's a midlife crisis. They didn't tell you
Oh yeah.
that?
Oh dude,
Oh
I've
yeah,
been
yeah.
going through that for like 5 years now.
Oh,
So,
I don't know when it stops. That's the question.
dude, I don't know. I don't know.
I
There's
mean,
so
we're the
many
same.
things.
We're the same age, and I can listen to a lot of your podcasts with guys that are the same age as you and
Yeah,
I, and I'm like, yeah, yep, I hear
I
you.
can
I
I can
bet.
agree to that.
Yep.
I can.
Oh yeah, I know what he's talking about.
Let me. This is completely random. All right. We're 45. We got kids. We got busy lives. If there is a 28-year-old out there, 26-year-old out there who's not married, maybe doesn't have a, or maybe is married, uh, really young, really into their career, no, or into their hunting career, no kids. Is there any advice that you could give to somebody right now?
Ooh. I mean, let's see. I got to think about this for a second. For if I was that age, because my oldest daughter is 12 and a half.
Hmm.
So I mean, I'm terrible at math today. Uh, dude, I was like 33 when she was born.
Hmm. Yep.
So rewind 5 years, 28. I mean, yeah, I was probably thinking about kids and stuff, but did I have a clue of where I was going? Man, I was in the operators union. I was making a lot of money. Life was good. Did I
Hmm.
have responsibilities? Yeah, but did I hold myself accountable?
Right.
Was I being mature in decision making? Like all that
Yeah.
stuff. I don't know.
No, I
You?
wasn't.
Yeah, that's what I'm
No,
saying. Like,
I say I was getting blackout drunk every weekend, dude. Or maybe even like 5 days, like multiple days during the week. That's what I was doing. So, I know I wasn't. But one thing that I would say is take these opportunities when you're not tied down with family to go explore this country.
oh,
And
for
what I mean,
sure.
especially if you love to hunt, man, don't go to the concert I don't know, like concerts are fun and things like that. But what I'm getting at is like save a little money and go buy that non resident deer hunt. Go buy that elk tag. Go buy those things that when you go do those experiences now, right? Live in a trash can, essentially. Save your money. Go do those big things now when you have the body for it, when you have the knees for it, when you have the freedom for it. Because what happens when you decide to be a dad, um, it doesn't mean that hunting stops because it didn't stop for me, but
No,
it gets more complicated,
for
right?
sure.
You're not making decisions for yourself. You're making decisions for like five people, right? And so you got to make sure that the kids are taken care of. Like, hey, can your mom help this weekend? Here's here's $50 in the nightstand I put for you. Take the kids out to Culver's, which shit, four people at Culver's is more than $50 these
Oh,
days. So like, it's just those things that you have to think about now. When back in the day, when my first, no shit, I was married, dude, and my first out of state, my first out of state hunt was in 2014, and I went to, I believe it was 14. I went to Nebraska, then I went to Idaho, and then I hunted the rut. And I had a 2-year-old, right?
mm,
I had a
mm,
2-year-old at home, and so that there was a lot of those conversations where it was like, when will you be home? What are you
yeah.
doing? When will you
Oh,
be
yeah.
home? And so,
Well, I remember being in Nebraska with you, and
yeah,
just checking in,
yeah,
and
both of us were getting the calls like,
yeah,
what are
yeah,
you doing? When will
it,
you be home? So
yeah. That would be my biggest advice too. Is just
Go do
Man,
it.
go do it. Time flies for one,
Yep.
and life's too short for two. The other stuff will be there. It's
Right.
gonna come, But um, so speaking of Nebraska, area out there right now, I saw yesterday it's like 37,000 acres is burnt,
Oh yeah.
and it just changes the landscape drastically as far as, hunting mule deer and everything.
Yeah.
But this will take me to the last thing that I was thinking of when we were first talking. Um, I overheard, obviously this stuff going on in Michigan with
Hmm.
the changing of regulations and stuff, and I know there's no like blanket statement for like what is the perfect regulation for regulating deer.
Hmm.
But in your opinion, in a vast majority of the Midwestern states, what do you think it takes to manage these deer in a better way than they have been managed?
Selflessness.
Yeah.
And I really do think that if you want the best possible outcome, you got to stop thinking about antler size. You got to stop thinking about me. Like, I got to stop saying, well, Dan Johnson wants this. No, it's about the greater good, right? Are you putting the resource first? And that's different. There's a different process for that in every state, in every county, in every region, right? Like Michigan's a complex state because you got the UP up top, which is a
Hmm.
completely different environment than even the northern UP, or
Right.
the northern southern part of Michigan, and then you have the southern part of Michigan that is more egg centric and focused and things like that. So it really does take, I think it's for Michigan, it's going to take a little bit more than just your we're going to change this one thing or
Hmm.
a couple of these things. I think there needs to be better reporting. I think there's probably um, different processes that people need to take. But I think if you're only thinking about yourself, and I'm not just saying Michigan's doing this. I'm talking about all people. If you're only
Yeah.
thinking about yourself, and if you're only interested in antler size and antler quality, well, then I think that that's not a good recipe for uh, managing the natural resource to the best ability that we can.
And I have to agree with that. I think the one thing that we all forget too is, we're talking about hunters, right?
Mhm.
But then there's a whole nother side of things where there's anti-hunters, there's, insurance agencies, farm bureaus, and then you talk about the public lands, so for all of these things to go full circle, if we want to keep public lands, we got to keep the non-hunters happy,
Mhm.
and vice versa. You got to be able to find a common ground to work with, but as hunters, the one thing we talked about, I think it was last week, is how there's always this like, oh, well, you shoot a crossbow, oh, well, you hunt public
Mhm.
ground, and we just attack each other,
Yeah.
but I think looking at the big picture is, dude, hunt your hunt,
Yeah.
and just remember we're all in it for the same thing. So if it means a better deer experience in
Yeah.
5 years, maybe you should shoot 5 does.
Yeah.
Maybe it doesn't mean shooting your 2 bucks every year. And I've made those same mistakes. I've gone out, I've had 2 tags, and I shoot 2 bucks. I've done the same thing, and then the next year I'll be, oh, I haven't seen any bucks. Well, why haven't I?
Yeah. Yeah. Man, it's just one of those things where it's like, and then there's things that we as human beings can control, right? The moment that we came into this country 250 years ago or even more, and we
Yep.
started smoking everything,
Yep.
right? That walked around and over trapping and over hunting and overfishing, then the other side of that had to step in and go, okay, well, now we need to manage this because we've
Hmm.
killed all the buffalo and we've killed, I mean, the buffalo is a perfect example, right?
Right.
They're not a wild animal anymore,
Nope.
essentially. There might be a very small group that they think they're wild, but they're
Mhm.
constricted.
Yeah.
They don't get to roam like what they used to. Um, and so it's all managed, right?
Yeah.
You get overpopulations in some area, then guess what happens? Disease, sickness, car collisions, right? Like all
Right.
that stuff, right? Then you get, the sickness go through, and then you got a bunch of people going, "Hey, where's all the deer? There used to be deer. Oh, I'm going to blame that on the DNR." Right? The
Yeah.
DNR is not responsible for EHD and CWD. I'm sorry, they're not, right?
No.
They don't have an on-off switch that they can control.
No.
where they have to come in is then do their due diligence and reporting and their studying of an area and say, okay, well, we feel that we need to increase or decrease. And these guys are just doing the best that they can. Like, I what frustrates me, and I'm sorry for the language I'm about to use here, but the DNR are not trying to fuck you. They're not.
Right.
They're doing the best that they can to make everybody happy in a state. And so, whatever. I don't know.
Well, I was just, while you were talking about that, I'm sitting here and I'm opening mail that I probably got at some point last week. It's been sitting on my desk, and I'm sure that you get them from multiple states. If you've hunted out of state, you get an email.
Yep.
But this is Illinois Natural History Survey, and they're wanting an Illinois Trapper Survey. How many times do people get this in the mail? They toss it in the garbage because like, oh, they're not going to help me. I'm just giving them garbage information anyways, and so, I mean, it's one of those things like I got a survey last year from Colorado. I
Yeah.
responded with my hunt,
Yeah.
and I gave them my information because I feel like it is crucial to report that stuff because I think they do take account for that.
Yeah. It's like bitching about your elected officials and not voting, right?
Same.
Like, I don't
Yeah.
vote, but I'm going to bitch about it. So,
Right.
whatever, dude.
Yeah.
But that's why we live in this country, right? We are free to do and say whatever we want for the most part. And I just hope that, like, this, so the crossbow thing, you brought the crossbow
Yeah.
thing up.
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer that crossbows do not belong in an archery season. Okay.
Okay.
And I number one, it's okay that I think that way.
Sure.
Right. I also don't think that, and I live in Iowa where there is no crossbow season. Well, there is a crossbow season. You can use a crossbow during the late season. And then there's other, like if you're handicapped, if you're old, like all these things, you can, right? But with that said, there's other places where people disagree with me. Guess what? It's okay for people to disagree with me. If you want crossbows in archery season, rally the troops, my friend. Try to get it to pass. But I'll tell you this, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to rally the troops and do the opposite. It should be based off of what the DNR thinks. And right now, the Iowa DNR doesn't think that crossbows are archery, and they can have a different season for that.
I mean, I have opinions on it too, and I'm not going to lean one way or the other because my kids are using crossbows to get into hunting, and that's been their way to shoot deer. But with that said, you brought up something good about like rallying the troops and stuff. One of the biggest things that we cannot do as Americans anymore, which I think is why we have a democracy originally, was because we were supposed to be able to come together with two different opinions and then come with a common ground. Like, I give you this, but you give me this type situation, and we can't do that anymore.
No,
But
it's all or nothing.
it's all one way or all the other way, and that was what I was saying more or less with hunting. Is we have to look at the big picture. If we want to maintain hunting, if we want to keep doing hunting, we have to be able to support each other to some degree.
Yeah. I like how you said that, and that's where we're going to end today, my friend. Jason, as always, man, I really appreciate you taking your time out of your day. You got some lawns to mow today, or you building a retaining wall? What are you doing today?
We're putting in metal edging, we're trimming some bushes, and then we've got like 20 yards of mulch that we got to put down. So
there you go. So you're busy today.
Yeah, me and a couple high school, college kids.
There you go. I get to sit in a chair all day and
Yeah.
edit multiple days worth of videos and podcasts because I have to travel this week, like I mentioned earlier. So I got to get a whole bunch of shit of computer time done today. And then I got to make sure I get kids to some haircuts and get kids to wrestling and things like that. So it's a full blown day for both of us.
Yeah.
To everybody who's listening, thank you very much for taking time out of your day to listen to the How to Hunt Deer podcast. Two goons basically talk about deer hunting. So do us a favor, go to Spotify or wherever you download the How to Hunt Deer podcast. Let everybody know that this is a good podcast. Give us a 5-star review. You can also find this on YouTube on the How to Hunt Deer YouTube channel. and do what all the kids say: smash that like button, smash that subscribe button, and continue to follow us. We also have an Instagram page that is up and running. So good luck this upcoming season, everybody. Get out the bows, check out the gear, and find a hunting buddy. How about that?
Yeah.
There you go.
A hunting buddy or an accountability partner.
An accountability partner. Perfect. All right, man. Have a good one. We'll talk
All
to you
right,
next
too.
week.